And good evening, everyone. The votes are in, and tonight we'll find out who will represent Nevada in the Senate and Congress, as well as who will take over as our governor, Reno Mayor, Washoe County Sheriff, and that's just to name a few of all the races on tap tonight.
That's right. We have your team coverage this election night with Melissa Matheny at the Registrar's office, Kristen Edwards covering the mayoral race, and Carson Bushtos focusing on Washoe County Sheriff.
And we also have a crew down in Las Vegas covering the race between Jackie Rosen and Dean Heller, as well as Steve Sisolak, his watch party in his race for governor tonight.
But before we go, we're going to go live now to Ben Marjat, who is at the watch party for Republican governor candidate Adam Laxalt.
George Shelby, this party is starting right now. Supporters are trickling in as we speak. Extended family members and other supporters are expected to fill this room tonight, but Laxalt himself will not be here in this room for the majority of the night. He will be in a room upstairs with his family, and the only time he will come down to this room is to give either an acceptance or a concession speech, obviously way too early in the night to know which speech he will be giving. Earlier today, Adam Laxalt went with his wife and children to go vote here in Washoe County at Bartley Ranch. A little later, he spent some time phone banking, calling people from his personal cell phone, trying to sway some of those voters who haven't voted yet or are undecided. Laxalt wants to keep the trend of Republican governors rolling in the Silver State. Meanwhile, Sisolak looking to become our first Democratic governor in a long time, the first one since Bob Miller in 1996. And with the stakes so high, it's been an expensive race. Sisolak spent about $13.7 million since 2017. Laxalt spending $9.9 million in that same time frame, but outside money has dwarfed those amounts. According to reporting from the Nevada Independent, nearly $34 million in outside money from PACs has poured in the last 10 months. Of course, we don't have any results yet, so we can't tell you how nonpartisan other voters are leaning right now, but we can say that turnout has been huge. We've already surpassed 2014 midterm turnout. We're actually closing in on the turnout that we saw in 2016, which was a presidential year. As of 6 o'clock here in Washoe County, 60% of residents had voted, 66, excuse me. We could get a little bit closer again to those 2016 totals, and back in 2016 about 79% of people voted, but it will all come down to how nonpartisans and others are leaning. They make up a significant chunk of the electorate. Polls are closing right now as we speak, and we should be getting results here very soon, so make sure to stick with us. Reporting live in Reno, Ben Marjat.
All right, thanks so much, Ben, for that report. Well, on the other side of the political coin for governor is Democrat Steve Sisolak.
That's right. Jeff Gillen from our sister station in Las Vegas has more on the watch party there and what the mood is like tonight and what it could be like later on. Jeff?
Reno, good evening once again from Caesars Palace. I'm Jeff Gillen holding down the fort for you here. The big story here, of course, actually you may not have heard of this, has been the power. It just came back on a few minutes ago. It's been intermittent in the convention complex, but we seem to have that nailed down. So with that, let's talk about the race for governor. We're told that Steve Sisolak has not arrived here quite yet. He will be cloistered upstairs throughout the evening in a room here. We're not expecting Sisolak to take that podium behind me until either he concedes defeat or he claims victory. If he claims victory, he will be the first Democrat to do so since Bob Miller was governor, the Democratic governor from 89 to 1999. Kenny Gwynn then won office, and Republicans have been on a roll ever since. The Sisolak sales pitch: jobs, health care, and education. Of course, he's been hammering Adam Laxalt over education funding throughout the months of the campaign. You may hear some of that tonight from the podium if Sisolak wins. But we're holding down the fort here, and we are expecting sometime between 7 and 7:30 the first dump of Clark County early voting numbers, which could give us a real indication of how this night will go. One quick note, we are hearing the turnout's pretty good up in Washoe. We've got lines a couple hours deep here down here in Clark County, so that could be a factor as the evening rolls on. But we're watching all the races for you. I'm Jeff Gillen here in Las Vegas. Back to you.
All right, appreciate the coverage down there. Thanks, Jeff. For that report, we'll be checking in with you later on tonight, of course. And taking a look at some of our ballot measures on tap tonight, we'll start with perhaps the most consequential one and controversial, certainly, Energy Choice Question 3. If passed, it would change the state constitution to break up NV Energy's monopoly on electric energy. It would require the state legislature to establish an open, competitive energy market, and to do that by July of 2023. Now, this measure passed easily with 72% of the vote in 2016, but there was very little money spent fighting it. This time around, different story. NV Energy has bankrolled the No on 3 campaign, spending more than $62 million to fight the measure. And while question 3 focuses on the who behind Nevada's energy, question 6 focuses on the where behind Nevada's energy, ultimately giving you the choice on where Nevada's future energy will come from. Another important measure, if question 6 passes, it would amend the state constitution and require 50% of Nevada's electricity to come from renewable sources, and the deadline to do that would be the year 2030. Now, currently about 88% of the energy Nevada consumes comes from outside the state, but is it feasible to localize our energy to resources within the state? According to U.S. Energy Information Association, Nevada ranks second in the nation for the ability to generate electricity from geothermal energy and fourth when it comes to solar energy. Shelby, over to you.
All right, thanks, Joe. Well, here to give us a more in-depth look at how this election could impact the Silver State is Trey Abney from the Abney Talking Group. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
There's been an amazing turnout, especially considering this is a midterm election. What is this saying about both Democrats and Republicans, both locally and also statewide?
Well, I mean, people are excited to vote, and they're wanting to get out there and vote. You're not seeing the turnout you did in 2016 for a presidential year, but you're certainly seeing a lot more than you have in other midterm elections, right? And so you've had the Democrats build up quite a firewall in Clark County. And at the end of early voting, Democrats were winning in Washoe County as well. And we have a majority Republican registration in Washoe County. Right. But today, Republicans have been killing it in Washoe County. So it all comes down always, again, to this county. Red, the rurals are going to be very red, very Republican. Clark is going to be very blue. And we've had long lines, as you guys have reported all day, we've had long lines at polling places all over the state. People are excited to get out and vote. At a certain point, it's a referendum on the president, I think, as well. But we have, the Senate race, the governor's race in question 3, I think.
Okay, now you are going to be here all night with us talking about some of these results as we start to see them come in. Really quickly, though, of course, Jackie Rosen, Dean Heller, this is not just a big race here, but the nation is really watching what's going to happen. And it's been tight leading up to today.
Well, and this is critical, right? And again, Dean Heller is the only Republican running in a state that Hillary Clinton won, right? So, he is critical. Although now with numbers coming in from Missouri and Indiana and others, I think Republicans are pretty safe in keeping that majority in the U.S. Senate. But Heller's a critical piece of that for sure.
All right, Trey Abney, thanks so much for
Thank you
coming
very
in,
much.
and stick around. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. Thanks so much for coming in. All right, stay with us, everyone. We will be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to your wall-to-wall election coverage. Vote America's Future. We've already introduced you to our candidates for governor, but now let's bring things a little closer to home here in Washoe County.
Yeah, Carson Bustos is covering our sheriff's race tonight. And first, let's send it out to Kristen Edwards, who's following the race for Reno Mayor, another one that people are paying close attention to. Kristen?
Yes, they are, Joe and Shelby. Mayor Hillary Sheevy is defending her seat as the Reno mayor tonight against her opponent, businessman Eddie Lorton. Now, Mayor Hillary Sheevy is scheduled to be here at the Brewers cabinet within an hour or so, where she'll watch for those election results. You can see they're getting ready for her. They have some food set up, and there are already some people here a little bit early awaiting her arrival, again, in about an hour or so. Now, Eddie Lorton says he will not have a party like this one. He says he will be at home with family and close friends. He says if he wins, he will be making the rounds in town. Now, here's a list of the items he wants to tackle first if the voters decide to elect him. He wants to negotiate with Washoe County about moving the homeless shelter and services from Reno to the county's jurisdiction. He says he's open to litigation if that doesn't work out. He also says he wants to conquer the city's debt by selling off Reno's city-owned surplus properties. He also wants to create housing to bring down prices and put more properties on the tax rolls. Now, on the other side, Mayor Sheevy says she wants to tackle these during her next term if she wins. She wants to continue on with the city's initiatives to build affordable housing and scale back requirements for developers of those complexes. She also wants to keep working on helping the homeless and focus on mental health initiatives and improve infrastructure. So there are some pretty big differences between these candidates tonight, but of course those polls are closed, so we should be hearing some more results rolling in here soon. And as soon as we have those, we will bring them right here to you on News 4. Live at the Brewers Cabinet, Kristen Edwards reporting.
All right, thanks so much, Kristen. Well, taking a look at some more of our ballot measures, there's another WC1 for voters to decide on this election. If passed, this would implement a small property tax increase for all Washoe County homeowners to help pay for flood control projects along the Truckee River. The property tax increase would average about $35 a year per family based on the median home price and will sunset in approximately 30 years. Opponents say we already pay a sales tax increase for flood control projects, and this money would only help to protect homes and businesses along the Truckee River. Those supporting WC1 say the tax we pay now isn't enough, and if WC1 doesn't pass, we'll lose out on $182 million in federal funding earmarked for the project.
All right, the polls have officially closed, and now the two candidates for Washoe County Sheriff wait it out. And we should point out that people still in line waiting for a chance to vote will still get that chance if they were in line at 7 o'clock.
By 7 o'clock, that's right. Well, Carson Bristost is at Pinocchio's Bar and Grill, where Darren Balaam is holding his watch party tonight. Carson?
Hey, good evening, Joe and Shelby. That's right. Now we're outside of Pinocchio's Bar and Grill over in Sparks, where Darren Balaam hosting that watch party. We talked to him just a few minutes ago. A lot of anxiousness, nerves, of course, running through his mind and, of course, his supporters inside. But the same goes for Heidi Howe. She's over at Swill Coffee off Moana Lane in Reno, waiting to see what happens with these results. As you guys had mentioned, those polls still open for those people in line. But to get back to these candidates, well, a lot of money has been spent on this year's election for both of them. Combined, they've spent nearly over, well, $500,000 campaigning for this election. Heidi Howe, if she becomes sheriff, she says she wants to keep the tax dollars local when it comes to those medical services for inmate mental health care. She says too many out-of-state companies are tending to Nevada inmates. She also intends to create a special victims unit for at-risk groups here in Washoe County. Darren Balaam, he states that his top priorities include the addition of deputies every year in his office. He also wants to enhance mental health services for inmates and combat sex trafficking issues here in our community. We spoke to both candidates about their motivation to be the county's next sheriff.
We are truly public servants. We are here for the community, and that was the biggest thing that I wanted to focus in on this campaign.
I have a passion besides my family. Law enforcement is my next greatest passion, and I want to make a difference. I want to leave this community in better shape than when I started my career over 20 plus years ago.
And we spoke to Heidi Howe earlier this afternoon. She believes it's going to be a tight race tonight. We'll obviously see what happens over these next couple of hours. From Sparks, Carson Bush-Jost, News 4.
All right, thanks, Carson, for that update. One of the statewide ballot questions voters will decide on tonight is Question 1, also known as Marsy's Law. Question 1 is designed to bolster the rights of crime victims in Nevada by ensuring that they are notified of all court dates, trials, and parole hearings. Now, those notifications are already mandated under state law. It's important to point that out. Question 1 would include them in the state constitution. Critics, including the ACLU, say the measure is an unfunded mandate that would jeopardize some of the rights of the accused, but supporters say this measure will ensure that victims do not get overlooked in the criminal justice system.
Well, from statewide to city-specific, this year's election is driving a lot of response from you, our viewer.
Melissa Carlson is live in the newsroom tonight with a look at what you are saying out there on social media. Always interesting. Melissa, how's it going in the newsroom?
Busy, you guys. We've got a lot of people posting to our Facebook page and our websites as well. And of course, busy on Twitter. Let's take a look here. Melissa Matheny's killing it tonight out there. She's doing such a great job. She's over the Washoe County Register of Voters office. She's saying turnout right now in Washoe County currently sits about 66%. She's saying for 2014, the voter turnout for this midterm was just 51%. So that's quite a difference, but she's saying not quite as good as the 2016 presidential election. Still better than the last midterm. So again, if you want to find out more information from Melissa, it's Melissa_KRNV. And let's go ahead and take a look at Washoe County, what they are saying. As you mentioned earlier, guys, yes, polls are closed. Of course, they say don't worry, as long as you are in line by 7 p.m., you will be able to cast your ballot. So if you're still in line, stay there. And really quickly, I know this is not necessarily just about elections, but I wanted to show you this video really quickly. Nevada basketball. Look at everybody lining up at the polls and lining up outside Lawler Event Center for Wolfpack's first game. Go Pack, go and have a great game. And obviously, we're going to keep you updated online and on our Facebook page and Twitter as well. So let us know what you're seeing. Let us know what you're hearing. Send us those pictures. We're already getting a lot of them, and we're very thankful. So keep us posted on what you're seeing out there. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks, Melissa. I vote for the Wolfpack. How's that? We can say that, right?
That's easy, right?
Yeah, against
All
BYU
right, thanks,
tonight.
Melissa.
Big game. All right, thanks for staying with us for election coverage tonight.
When we come back, we're going to check in with our team in Las Vegas, who is covering the Senate race for us tonight. Stay with us.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to our election coverage, and we check in on one of the most closely watched races in the nation, and that is our U.S. Senate race tonight.
That's right. Gerard Ramallo is at our watch party for Dean Heller and has this report tonight.
Well, guys, good evening once again from the South Point here in Las Vegas. GOP supporters now starting to file in. The doors opened just a short time ago, and you can see they are here. They are watching the returns. They are excited. I was trying to get a pulse of the feel here, and I can tell you that it is one of optimism for the most part. I think mainly the supporters are resigned to the fact that the GOP will likely lose the House, but they are very positive about the Senate. And of course, they are hoping for a win for Dean Heller over Jackie Rosen. Early polls did show that Rosen did have a slight edge, but anything can happen here on Election Day, and that seems to be the theme here in Las Vegas. The other important race that supporters are watching, of course, is the governor's race. They want a Laxalt win. If Laxalt wins, they say that will give balance to the state. Of course, the legislature right now is run by Democrats. They need Laxalt to win to give us a little bit of a balance. At least that's what the GOPers are saying here, that ultimately it would be beneficial for Nevada. Again, still early. The polls remain open, but not for much longer. GOP supporters here are optimistic, and we will have another update live from Las Vegas very shortly. I'm Gerard Ramallo reporting from the South Point. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Gerard. And on the other side of the Senate race is, of course, Democrat Jackie Rosen.
Yeah, Jeff Gillen is also down in Las Vegas. He has a look at what they're seeing at that party tonight.
Reno, good evening from Las Vegas and Caesars Palace. Jeff Gillen holding down the fort for you down here in Las Vegas. The reason that I am surrounded actually by network news crews here on the podium is the race for U.S. Senate. Jackie Rosen, of course, in that hotly contested and highly visible race to, in her words, repeal and replace Dean Heller. She's the only Republican running for Senate in a state that Hillary Clinton carried in 2016. You know, I talked to Rosen both today and yesterday, and she keeps hammering once and again, really, it's become the Democratic mantra in the closing days, and that has been health care and protect your pre-existing conditions. Heller says that his bill would do that too. Democrats and Rosen say no, he's not really frankly telling the truth. That if you elect her, you're going to protect your health care. If you elect Dean Heller, you're going to take a chance on your health care. So that's frankly her entire closing argument of this campaign. No word yet on whether the Rosen camp has arrived here. I mean, some of her staff is here already, but the top folks, Rosen, Steve Sisolak for governor, they're going to be up in rooms. We don't expect to see either one of them until either they go to the podium behind me to make a concession speech or to make a victory speech. Of course, Rosen is one of the Senate races that national Democrats are really praying and hoping that they can basically keep their dream of perhaps taking the U.S. Senate tonight alive. Anyway, we are waiting for the Clark County numbers, which could give us a real indication of how tonight is going. We're watching those for you down here in Las Vegas. I'm Jeff Gillen. Back up to you in Reno.
All right, thanks so much, Jeff. Well, the polls have now closed, and that means the Registrar of Voters' office is about to get very busy. That's where we find News 4's Melissa Matheny tonight. And Melissa, it's really the calm before the storm.
That's right, Shelby. The cartridges will be arriving here shortly at the Washoe County Complex. First information that's going to be released when it comes to the votes is the early voting, but we're told by officials here at the Registrar of Voters office that we could see some delays in that because that information cannot be released until every single person in line in Nevada has voted, and we're told that there are long lines across the state, so we could again see some delays. Voter turnout, though, has been strong this midterm election. As of about 6 p.m. tonight, 177,000 ballots have been cast. That's 66% voter turnout. In 2016, Washoe County saw 80% voter turnout, but in the last midterm election, Washoe County only saw about 51% voter turnout. This year, the Registrar of Voters says turnout is strong because of some hotly contested races and issues that really mobilized voters.
But again, kind of unprecedented turnout for a midterm. So a little bit longer lines than we're used to, but definitely I think within the realm of what we would expect with such a high turnout.
And for the most part, county officials say everything went smoothly here at the polls. And really in about 5 minutes or so, we're going to be getting an update on those voter numbers. We are going to be bringing them to you live, so stay tuned for that. Joe and Shelby.
All right, thanks, Melissa, for that. We're checking back in now with Trey Abney, watching some of the trends. Early results come in across the country, and we're seeing some of those Senate races shape up across the country. What are you seeing from those races?
Well, I think you've got Indiana coming in, so that's a pickup for Republicans. They were calling Missouri. I think that's back and forth, but that could be another pickup again. And so the Republicans will hold the Senate. This is a question of how many seats. Ted Cruz looks like he's keeping his seat in Texas, so as we move westward, right, so we'll have more polls closing pretty soon.
So our race, the U.S. Senate race, Heller and Rosen, is still critical here, but it may not shift the balance.
It shouldn't determine the balance of power in the Senate. Republicans will keep it, but there have been sources already calling the House for the Democrats, so we've got that still going.
Wow, okay, what about a little bit closer to home? You were talking about, we only have a couple races really locally that they're watching closely tonight.
I know, unfortunately, all the local actions in Clark County, but we have two key races up here. Assembly District 31, which is mostly Sparks. Democrat Skip Daly currently holds that seat. Jill Dickman is making a run for that. Skip had it a couple years ago. Jill took it from him for 2 years. Skip took it back, and now Jill's running again. It's like a 6-point Republican district, so that could flip. And then you have got the Paul McKenzie City Council race. Paul McKenzie's the incumbent on the Reno City Council. Bonnie Weber, former Washoe County Commissioner, running for that seat. She beat him in the primary, and now this year for the first time it is ward only in the general, not citywide, and so that could be a turn as well. So those are the two big races up here.
Looking at the mayor's race, last time around Eddie Lorton did not fare well as far as numbers in the primary. He finished quite a ways back, but do you think it'll be different tonight this time around?
No, I mean I think Mayor Sheevy should win this race handily. I don't think it's going to be in the 70%. She'll get 60-something percent of the vote, and she'll be just fine. She's done a great job. So.
All right, well, Trey, we appreciate your time,
Thank
and you'll
you.
be sticking with us tonight as we
I'll be here.
get some of these results that are starting to come in that we'll start to report on for you.
Thank you.
All right. And okay, we are waiting for a news conference from the Registrar's office to give an update on how things are going out there. So we'll be checking in with Melissa Matheny. She's been covering the scene out there. And of course, we have our reporters at all the different watch parties around the area and Las Vegas as well tonight. So now that the polls have closed, some of the returns will be coming in, and some of the excitement at those parties will start to ratchet up as well.
And as those cartridges come in, it is really just an amazing job that they do trying to get all those results in and keep things organized and clear. And
for the most part, it's amazing how fast those returns start to come in and get processed, right, Trey?
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, you still have people standing in line, right, to vote, so they haven't even technically closed yet. Because if you were in line at 7 o'clock, you could still vote. So
all right, well, I guess
may take a while.
We have Melissa now, so we're going to toss things out to her. She's at the Registrar of Voters office tonight for us.
some early voting turnout. We have, I'm sorry, not early voting, but election day and early turnout. So at this time, we're reporting over 61,000 voters who have showed up to vote for election day, and over early voting and for absentee ballots, we have over 121,000 voters that have showed up. We have an unprecedented amount of voters who've actually turned out to vote in this election, and we can't be more excited and more proud about how well everything has gone today. So we have over a 68% return rate at this point, and we really are hoping, and people are still out there, if they are in line to vote, they can still vote. So again, we are very proud that that we have such a large turnout and that there's been so much interest in this election.
Can you clarify for us the rule about when you can start releasing the early voting results?
Sure, we have to wait until the Secretary of State's office has confirmed that all polls across the state have been closed, that the last voter has actually processed, and then at that point we can release results, but we cannot do that until the Secretary of State's office lets us know that we are allowed to release those results, then because of the last voter needs to be able to vote before that can occur.
So what are you hearing from our county and the other counties about how long it's going to take to get all those voters through?
My guess, I mean, there is a wait out there. We've had unprecedented turnout for a midterm election. We are so proud to actually report that we've had so many people interested in our elections this time. So we are, I would guess, a 45-minute to an hour wait in our county. I've heard there's up to a 2-hour wait in other locations. So it could be quite a while before we get all those election returns. But again, we are just so happy that we have such a large percentage of our voters throughout the state that are participating. And again, a little patience with us while we get those results. And we really appreciate the turnout, and we're really happy to see so many people participate.
Is this officially the most people we've had in a midterm turnout?
I believe so. I'd have to go back and look at some records, but the numbers I'm seeing, yes, it is really an unprecedented turnout for a midterm election.
Are we still seeing significant lines here in Washoe County, and if so, where?
We're seeing some lines out there. It's hard to report. We have 82 locations, so of course it depends on the location as to how long the line is, how busy they were today, how many machines they had, and how quickly they can process those people. We're estimating that at the close of polls, we've got about a 45-minute to an hour wait potentially. And again, across state, we're hearing of some places that have over a 2-hour wait. So us having, you know, there is a little bit of a wait, but we want to make sure that every single person who wants to vote is able to do so. So if anybody was in line at 7 p.m. when we closed, they will be able to vote.
All right. Everyone good?
I think we're good.
All right, Dana, thank you.
All right.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thanks.
Just to recap so I can get the number one more time.
All right, that was Deanna Spicula. She is the Washoe County Registrar of Voters, and it sounds like the theme there tonight is unprecedented turnout, which is great. So many people turning out to vote. The flip side is it's going to take a little bit longer to get those votes counted and to give everybody access to cast their votes who are waiting in line, perhaps.
Yeah, she looks like pretty relaxed and
gone pretty
considering
smoothly overall.
Yeah, things have gone smoothly. Not too many hiccups today. So as those cartridges come in, again, people are still voting because if they were in line by 7 o'clock, they can still vote even if they were waiting in line a little bit. So we will have all these results coming in for you. We'll be doing local cut-ins as well tonight to keep you up to date on the very latest numbers.